Welcome. Welcome to this place. Here we search for truth and understanding. Here we celebrate life and we contemplate its mysteries. Here we share healing and wholeness. So whoever you are, wherever you come from, whomever you love, we welcome you to this congregation.
Good morning. Before I begin today's reading, I'd like to just give a big thank you to everyone who provided us with moral support and physical support and emotional support during my mother's last weeks in February and March. We're really grateful and comforted by the love and outpouring of care that we received. So, the parable of the life-saving station is by Brent Hunter. On a dangerous seacoast where shipwrecks often occur, there was once a crude little life-saving station. The building was just a hut, and there was only one boat. But the few devoted members kept a constant watch over the sea, with no thought for themselves. They went out day or night, tirelessly searching for the lost. Many lives were saved by this wonderful little station, so that it became famous. Some of those who were saved, and various others in the surrounding areas, wanted to become associated with the station and give of their time and money and effort for the support of its work. New boats were bought and new crews were trained. The little life-saving station grew. Some of the new members of the life-saving station were unhappy that the building was so crude and so poorly equipped. They felt a more comfortable place should be provided as the first refuge of those saved from the sea. They replaced the emergency cots with beds and put better furniture in an enlarged building. Now the life-saving station became a popular gathering place for its members, and they redecorated it beautifully and furnished it as sort of a club. Less of the members were now interested in going to sea on life-saving missions, so they hired lifeboat crews to do the work. The mission of the life-saving station was still given lip service, but most were too busy or lacked the necessary commitment to take part in the life-saving activities personally. About this time, a large ship was wrecked off the coast, and the hired crews brought in boatloads of cold, wet, half-drowned people. They were dirty and sick. Some had skin of a different color. Some spoke a strange language. And the beautiful new club was considerably messed up. So the property committee immediately had a shower house built outside the club where victims of shipwrecks could be cleaned up before coming inside. At the next meeting, there was a split in the club membership. Most of the members wanted to stop the club's life-saving activities as being unpleasant and a hindrance to the normal pattern of the club. But some of the members insisted that life-saving was their primary purpose and pointed out that they were still called a life-saving station. But they were finally voted down and told if they wanted to save the life of all various kinds of people who were shipwrecked in those waters, they could begin their own life-saving station down the road. They did. As the years went by, the new station experienced the same changes that occurred in the old. They evolved into a club, and yet another life-saving station was founded. If you visit the seacoast today, you will find a number of exclusive clubs along that shore. Shipwrecks are still frequent in those waters, but now most of the people drown.
Stronger every day. We are building a new
Well, I know it's been said many times and in many ways, but it needs to be said again. This has been a year unlike any other. This year, not only have we lost loved ones at an alarming rate, we've also lost our sense of safety, our sense of security. We've lost much of the daily structure to our lives. We've lost all of those face-to-face aspects that we treasure. All of those things that help to build community and keep us connected to those that we love. This year, we've had to rethink how we do our jobs, how our kids go to school, how we stay connected with our families, how we gather as a church community, how we keep our sanity all the while trying not to get sick, trying to just stay alive long enough to make it to that other side. Well, the good news is that we have made it thus far. We are the lucky ones who survived a brutal pandemic, the likes of which has not been seen in generations. And yes, the good news is that some things are, in fact, getting back to normal, or at least a new normal. So this morning, together, in this new way, as we look forward to when the day comes when we can safely gather again in person, I ask you to ponder, what comes next? I mean, what will our congregation look like moving forward? What things might we want to keep from this time of lockdown? What things do we want to return to? Those things that we have missed over the past year. You know, this is a time to ask all of those big questions. Who are we as a congregation? What do we value? What is our mission? How might we be better communicators of who we are to the wider community in hopes of growing our membership and becoming a congregation that remains vital and active and engaged in this world we're living in? And friends, if any of these questions are captivating to you, if envisioning growth and outreach are things that you are passionate about, we need you. We need you now more than ever. So to that end, for anyone who is so moved, I would like to invite you to join me. Join me over just the next 2 weeks for the creation of a visioning outreach task force. We will meet several times over Zoom over the next 2 weeks to create this visioning plan and build on what we do well as a congregation and to find better ways to reach out to the wider community. So if you're interested, send me a message today, now, for there's no time like the present. And to get us started on that work, our Committee on Ministry will be leading a congregational conversation immediately following this morning's worship service. You all received an email of their summary of all the feedback that they received over the course of this year regarding what you all perceive as our strengths and our weaknesses as a congregation in the 4 major areas of our ministry: worship, pastoral care, social justice, and religious education. So today, instead of our usual coffee hour, we invite you to all stay and discuss the Committee on Ministry's findings so that you can make your voice heard. We need you here today, now, for there's no time like the present. You know, I was at a workshop recently where we talked about what words we use to describe a congregation. And one word that kept coming up was this word family. You know, on the face of it, it does make sense. Our congregations are made up of people who care deeply about one another, who are like-minded, and they share a lot in common. I've heard many of you, in fact, talk about our much beloved First Parish family. But on deeper reflection, this word family can be problematic when describing a congregation. See, unlike a family, each of you chose to be here, while you were born into a family without your consent. In a family where Uncle Joe is a lousy drunk who's abusive and lashes out at everyone, you likely will not kick Uncle Joe out of the family. Like him or not, he'll always be a part of that family. But in a congregation, if someone is routinely behaving badly and hurting others, then yes, we may ask them to leave. In a family, there's often a similar perspective or outlook in the ways that we see the world. This is certainly not true in a congregation. We all experience the world in very different ways and have many different opinions and perspectives about what we find to be the most important. This is a critical point, because if we think of our congregations as one big happy family, then there's this assumption that we're all on the same page, that we are all interested in the same thing, that we're all in agreement. Instead, I would ask that you think about this congregation as many communities within a larger community. Think about it. Take a minute and think about this. When you first came to First Parish, who are the people who you connected with? Why? Did you join the choir and feel a deeper connection with others who shared your love of music? Maybe you connected with other dads who are also raising small children. Maybe you found a group of Jewish UUs who understood you in ways that others maybe didn't. I think for all of us, it's natural to bond on a deeper level with those who we share common grounds, those whose interests align with our own. For we're not simply one big happy family, but many communities within a larger community. Acknowledging this fact will help us move forward together, because it frees us from having all of us have the same focus, the same passions, the same interests. For some of you today, you care most deeply about racial and social justice. Some of you love this historic meeting house, and it's your passion to help take care of it. Others could care less about any of that and just want to talk and laugh with friends during coffee hour. And all of that is good. What brought you here originally and what brings you back Sunday after Sunday after Sunday are all valid and are all important, even if they are not the same reasons as the person next to you. We are many communities within a larger community. And it's time we say that out loud. It's time we acknowledge what has always been true. So then, you, of course, might be wondering, if we are simply many different parts making up a whole, then what connects us? What unites us? Well, to put it simply, our mission. It's what gives us focus as a congregation. It's what allows all of us with our very different interests and passions to row together in the same general direction. So today, as we begin to look forward to the future, to what will be, and how we envision our congregation growing, I would invite you to think more deeply about this word mission. As Reverend Dan Hotchkiss writes in his article, "Who Owns a Congregation?" he says, "And what is the mission? The core mission of all social sector organizations is changed lives. The specific mission of a congregation is its answer to the question, whose lives do we intend to change, and in what ways? A congregation that limits its vision to pleasing its members falls short of its true purpose. Growth, expanding budgets, building programs, and such trappings of success matter only if they reflect positive transformation in the lives of people touched by the congregation's work. The job of congregational leaders, boards, clergy, lay leaders, and staff is not to, quote, give members what they want. For one thing, if the only mission is to current members, the congregation will soon die. And so the mission must not only be to change the lives of members, but of all those other members who have yet to join. A real problem with democracy in congregations is that future members do not vote. If they did, at every meeting, they would make up the majority. Powerful sentiment. And this is an important point that Reverend Hotchkiss brings up. If we wish to grow our membership, we must always do it with an eye to the future. We must try our best to think about those who have not yet even walked through our front door. It's a daunting task, to say the least. But the alternative is to continue to do everything as it has always been done, to stay the same, to stagnate. If you think about it, we've already made significant changes even in the short time that I've served as your minister. For example, when I first came, the idea of filming a worship service was met with significant pushback. Many thought it would violate the sanctity of our worship services. But over many months of careful discernment, of hearing from everyone and their concerns, we decided that yes, filming our worship services made sense, both for our current membership and as a way to reach out to those who have not yet found our congregation. And thank goodness that we did. I'm not sure how we would have survived this pandemic without a way to worship remotely. Another point that Reverend Hotchkiss brings up is this idea that if a church only, quote, gives its members what they want, it will soon die. Or if all we care about is making everyone happy, we will surely not be guided by our mission. This is not a social club. We are a church community connected by deeply held principles and values that wishes to make a positive change in the world. For as we heard this morning during the reading, the parable of the life-saving station, there are lots of people out there who are drowning. All we care about are taking care of our own needs and our own wants. All we focus on are buying those new seat cushions and those fancy drapes. Then we forget who we are. We're in a very real way. We are a life-saving station. This congregation saves lives every day. We are the ones who brought meals and peace shawls and flowers and cards to the member who received that terrifying cancer diagnosis. We are the ones who created a safe space for our youth, a space to simply be themselves without fear of bullying and rejection. We are the ones who walked with members who suffered from COVID, those who weren't sure if they would make it through to be with us today. We save lives every day. My friends, as we move forward, as we come out of our caves of isolation, as we envision a new path together, let us think not only of those who are currently here with us today, but let us also think of those other drowning souls, those who could simply just use a life raft right about now. Just remember all of those future members who have not yet found themselves walking through our doors, being greeted by all of the loving members here. There are a lot of drowning people out there, a lot of drowning people. The good news is, here at First Parish, we save lives every day. So may it be. Amen.